How do you explain this?
Let me guess. You just think that's somebody standing in a window? What if I were to tell you that we're a ghost? Let's investigate. Hi, I'm Rebekah, and I work as a ghost tour guide in one of the most haunted cities in the southern United States, Wilmington, North Carolina. Follow along with me. I'm going to show you some of the most haunting photos captured on my ghost tour, and then we're going to go back to those locations during the day to see if we can figure out what went bump in the night. I'm Rebekah, the Ghost Guide. Let's talk about logistics.
1. This photo is a cropped picture shared with me on a ghost tour. 2. This photo may have been taken almost 2 years ago, meaning age technology and outdated resources. 3. If you think this is a blood and bones person, check out this left side of the face. Yes, there is a glare, but would that also make a face more transparent?
Normally, this would be in the time of the show where I ask you what you think. However, this is one of the clearest photos I have ever gotten from a guest. And while we will be going into that later, I would like to first go into the story of how I acquired this photo in the first place. About a year ago, I had some people on my tour who had taken the tour a year prior. They loved it so much when they came back to Wilmington, they had to take it again. We see this a lot, which is pretty awesome for our tour. However, when we were going along my route, they actually asked me, they said, "Hey, do you go to the Latimer House?" And I said, "Oh yeah, I'm familiar with the Latimer House, but it's not on my route right now. I hope to learn it later." And they said, "Want to see a photo that we took last year?" "Yes, obviously I would love to see a photo that you took last year." That's when they showed me this photo. They said that they took it in the late afternoon, and that they actually saw it, were so wowed by it, that they decided to go into the home while it was still open. Now, this home is open for public tours every day. However, when they went inside and they showed the picture to the docent said that nobody was standing there at that time. In fact, the docent was the only person in the building, and they looked nothing like the person in the photo. And so immediately they start asking, well, this is an old home, could it be a ghost? And that's when the docent said, "We handle history here. If you want to learn about ghosts, go check out Ghost Walk of Old Wilmington." And that's how they came on our tour. And that night, they were actually with a tour guide who did know the story of the Latimer House. They went by there, and only after the story, they said, "Oh, now I know who this is." The tour guide, of course, says, "What do you mean?" That's when they show the photo. And so immediately after hearing this story and not seeing that they had sent in the photo to anybody on our end, I asked if I could take a photo of their photo, and now I'm sharing it with you. Here's something to be aware of. Was this photo taken directly on my tour like the others? No. Does that mean it could have been manipulated? Yes. Here's what I ask you. Seriously, if you know how to recreate this photo, please send it in. I would love to see your interpretations of this. But here's the other side of that. This woman, she didn't know who I was. I had no following at that point. I was just another tour guide on the tour. She showed it to me because she was excited. And in fact, even though she was taking the tour, she had to go back and find the photo. It wasn't immediately ready for her to find. I point this out because she had nothing to gain from this, unless she just wanted attention for a few minutes of time. She didn't even give me her name by the end of the tour. She just gave me the photo because she was so excited about it. So we have psychology and we have technology on our hands. But seriously, you tell me what you think. We're gonna investigate though.
As always, I like to check in with my followers on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook to ask what they see. The following are some of the comments made on the original post last summer, as well as my repost last week. The consensus was that the being did appear human, but there was a rift on whether this was female or male. Those seeing a woman noted a Victorian dress, specifically a black dress. Those seeing a man commented on his mustache, also in black. Whoever it is, I think this person was spot on. Time to go to where this photo was taken. Welcome to the historic Latimer House. built in 1852. And within the Latimer family up until 1963, when it was transferred to the Lower Cape Fear Historical Society to be used as a living museum. The photo was taken in the late afternoon on the Orange Street side of the house. You can tell this by the ironworks above and below the window. Also, the time of day shows the shadow of the yard lights on, but the color of the house is bright enough that it's not late evening yet. This was likely taken in the early spring, before the days were long. Let's also talk about what viewers could have been seeing. First, you'll find in the recent photo I took that the time of day is earlier. The curtains look to have changed. I understand this messes with our investigation. Looks like we'll need to focus on the original photo a bit more. Next, my personal disclaimer is that I see a male figure, but I did consult others to draw a few different sketches. To me, I see a face, slightly obscured by the curtain to the left. Here's the head, tie, coat, hat, and face with a mustache. Here are my two different outlines of that image, drawn at different times. However, this could also be seen as a woman, in a long black gown with her hair up and held atop her head in the Victorian style.
Male or female? Who could this be?
Fortunately, the Lower Cape Fear Historical Society has photos of the Latimer family on their website. I'll leave a link below. In addition to this, Ghost Walk of Old Wilmington has stone stories that have been collected over the years. And lastly, I have my own intuitive experiences. Allow me to introduce you first to Impy Latimer, born in 1886, died in 1948. He is likely the most well-known ghost in this house. He was a grandson of the original Latimers to build this home, and for whatever reason, he is stuck behind to keep an eye out on the family possessions, especially the books. I'll admit knowing this did influence what I originally saw in this photo. Allow me to also introduce you to Elizabeth Savage Latimer, born in 1819 and died in 1904. She was Impy's grandmother. During her time alive, she and her husband Zebulon would have 9 children in 16 years. Sadly, only 4 would live to see adulthood. There are rumors that the younger children can sometimes be seen looking out of the windows, and that once Elizabeth passed on herself, she stayed back to care for them in death. She stayed back to care for them in death where she couldn't have cared for them the same way in life.
It so happened that before I even went to the Latimer House on the Ghost Walk, I went to the Latimer House to learn more about its history first. And while I was in there, I actually picked up on a female, matronly, very much in charge kind of spirit that first came down the stairs as we were standing there in the foyer. And there was this feeling of, you're in my home, this is my home, be kind to my home. It wasn't a feeling of negativity, and while we walked around the home, I kind of felt her check in, just as she would have done when she was alive. She might let people walk around her home, enjoy her home, but of course she would keep checking in with them over time. However, the other side of this is, I also felt a very sad energy from her. I happened to go on the tour of this home in October, and during October they have a great exhibit on the Victorian wake. However, as she suffered so much death herself, I imagine every October this brings up that pain and hurt for her. So we really have a clashing of the spiritual side and the historical side, which may have made her more active on my tour and other tours that month. So, is this a photo of Impy or Elizabeth? Keep in mind the photos that I was able to show you of them in life were very much outdated by the time that they died. So there's some room for different interpretation there. But as always, I want to know what you think. Tell me, is this photo real or fake? Can you replicate it yourself? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for joining. I'm Rebekah, the Ghost Guide. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching. As always, new episodes of this series are coming out every Thursday at 4 p.m. Be sure to check in. and leave me your comments. Also, next week, another travel episode. I know we're all getting stir crazy from being inside from all this COVID-19 madness. So check out a travel episode that I made a few months back before all of this went down. As always, please subscribe before you leave. Thank you so much for Ghost Walk of Old Wilmington for still keeping me on the job. We're just not doing tours right now. We'll be doing tours once all of this is let up. And as always, if you're feeling generous, look below. I've got a few options for tipping. And we're also going to be coming out with a Patreon very soon. And that Patreon is going to have so many awesome options to it. So be sure to check it out. Thank you so much again for following along, subscribing, and leaving all your comments throughout our time together. I can't wait to bring you another episode next week. See you later. Take care.